So we are having an awesome crowd answering our questions today. Let me just introduce the format a little. You can ask your questions just going to pigeonhole.at and entering the passcode story. Your questions will appear here. You can also vote for others' questions or your own question just once. And then when done with these questions or when an interesting question appears there, we will be asking those questions as well. Let's start with a short introduction of our panelists. Narek, will you?
I should talk.
Just short story of yours.
From new games.
Sorry, microphone for you.
It is, just wait a minute.
Okay, thank you. So I'm from Noor Games. We're making games. Basically, we've made games for other companies, clients for years. Recently, we'll switch to making our own games. Probably that's it.
Just short story about you. Who are you, Bagrat? Everybody is interested.
My name is Bagrat. I'm from Triada Studio, and we made a game long time ago. Yeah, the game name is Triadomatic. Now we're doing the next game, but it's a big secret. I cannot show any details.
Secret.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Sarki, Scoris Games. We are working on game industry, and especially we are specialized on HTML5 games and browser games.
Hi, I'm Georg from Rockbite Games. We are behind the title called Deep Town. Maybe you know. We are doing game development for like 5 years, and we have another title which we are working on.
And it's not secret.
And it's, it's not secret. You can play it like outside. There is a booth.
Thank you. So my name is Stefan Asadorian. I've been in the industry for 20 years. Now I'm a consultant. It's been 3 years, and I'm traveling the world, and I'm giving advice to publishers and developers and also investors. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, and just short introduction of the audience. How many of you guys or girls have ever tried to create a game? Just raise your hand. Okay, a lot. Most of you. Who started engineering just to be in game development? Whose dream is to create games? Just two? Oh my god, okay. More realistic now, I see.
We dreamed to manage engineering.
Okay. So all of our panelists are engineers, and first question, okay, I can't move to your side. Okay, I'll stay here. First question I have for you is, what keeps you in game development as an engineer? I mean, what interests you? Who'll go first?
Maybe I can start. For me, is the thirst of knowledge. I mean, this is how my brain works. I like to learn, so I really need to learn all the time. So and today, you know, a lot of technology issues and questions that have been raised and have been solved. You can go on the net and you can find pretty much any answer. And so it's a really interesting time because to come up with new technology breakthrough, you have to be really creative. And most people think of creativity as something that is, you know, only for people who look out through windows and draw beautiful graphics. But it's not the case. A lot of engineers are actually very creative. Everybody can be creative. Every aspect of life can be drawn into creativity. So yeah, I find a lot of satisfaction in actually giving advice, coaching, and helping people, because I learn a lot as well from any kind of studio, any size, mobile or small size team, big size team, whatever. So yeah, for me it's really the thirst for knowledge. That's what drives me.
Yeah. My love to games is the most thing that is driving me to create games, and of course, like maybe the audience here is kind of feeling the same. So, and of course, the challenges that games are bringing to the ground, like engineering challenges, a lot of hard math, and of course the creativity.
So for me, it's like solving, as Gav already said, solving complex math problems, and it brings a lot of satisfaction.
First of all, for me, it's just a fun, yeah, and it's very cool when you can create something, some mechanism, some engineering stuff, and see it like visual output.
So I've worked before gaming industry. I've worked in some other industries as an engineer. So when I started as a game developer, the first thing I've noticed is the freedom. That how much freedom games have and what can you do. How like everything can happen in the games. There are no limits, and this was very exciting. And other thing is that games are combination of art, science, and engineering, which is also very great. And also the complexity is, the scope is very large and complexity is huge, and it gives you always space to learn, to study, to create, to become a better engineer. So all these factors have contributed.
Thanks. A couple of you mentioned that it can get really complicated, and this is what can be rewarding or motivating. So what exactly is complicated about game development? What is the hardest issues that you have tackled? Who want to take it?
Okay, so as I mentioned, let's go back. So as I mentioned, the scope is large. So there are lots of math problems, physics problems, engineering problems, technical, lots of different things. So I wouldn't say that any significant aspect is very hard, but all the combination of these aspects makes it hard and interesting.
Any examples so that people can get?
Sure. Well, what is really, really hard in making games is first you work with multidisciplinary people usually. Even if you're on your own, you have to do a lot of different things. So that's very difficult in itself. But at a higher level, if you look at making games is actually easy. I cannot disagree with that. So because everybody out there, everybody in this room can make games. Like you can watch on YouTube. This is a fantastic time. You know, like you can download Unity or Unreal for free. You can make games. You have tutorials. You can make basic, simple games. What is really, really difficult is to make a successful game, which means you get enough money to have enough, freedom to make another one and another one and another one. This is the hard part. And for me, what really is difficult about this is that you have to align three things. You have to understand the business. So why would it be a good idea to actually be there? You have to be creative and create a fantasy that actually connects emotionally with a certain audience that you have identified. And the last part is to also align what your team can do, because it's really nice to have good ideas and to know how to connect with an audience emotionally, but you really need to actually build it. And that's really hard. So yeah, I think that's really the hard part for me.
And here we have a very connected question from audience. Does it work to start developing games on your own? Because a lot of people don't start with having a great team, and I know people here that have built awesome games on their own without any team. And is it worth playing solo in this industry?
So I just have the microphone, so I just reply really quickly. Short answer is yes, it's absolutely worth it. But you have to find and define objectives for yourself. You have to understand why you're doing it. And depending on your objectives, it might be really wrong to do it. But if your objective is to learn something, then absolutely you should totally go for it. It's going to be a failure, probably, but maybe not, who knows? It doesn't matter. What you set out to do is to learn something. And the more you do it on your own, you know, the more you explore, the more knowledge you get, the better you get at it, and potentially you can, you know, join other people and, you know, create a studio and so on and so forth. Now, if your game is to really build a business, yeah, you really have to be really good to actually start this on your own. And I know some people who do, and they're really talented, but it's not for everyone. So, yeah.
I can say, like, this is a question like when you start learning something, for example, programming, you say, can I learn it on my own or do this on my own? I think this is the same question. If you get into it, you will need to put a lot of hard working and you will eventually get to the end. Maybe it will be not so successful, but probably you can do. There are a lot of examples, like indie people who build a lot of great games. You can search in Google indie game development, and you can find really awesome examples.
Yeah, Minecraft.
Yeah, Minecraft. Yeah, there are a lot of examples.
And if you're passionate about something, go and do it. As I can say that I and my friends years ago have passion to make games, and we did it, and now we are building games every day, and that's our passion, I would say.
Is it worth starting on your own, just without a team?
Yes, of course. It's definitely working.
Yeah.
But can you reach success without having dedicated artists, dedicated game designers, and so on?
It depends how much energy you will invent to this thing. Like,
Okay.
it's about time and energy.
And talent.
And yeah,
Lots of talent.
also energy and time.
Yeah, so basically, or it is always failure. This part is interesting. So there are lots of examples that single developers have succeeded, and this means that the answer to this is yes. But related to or it is always a failure, if you are in a creative industry and you are worried about failure, this is already a problem. Because you will have lots of failures, and this is a rule, because you are doing something new. You will be able to not fail only if you are doing something that you are already proficient, you are already mastered. So in game industry, in creative industry, failure is okay, failure is normal. So don't worry about it if you like it.
So whoever Ruben was, the answer is yes. So
We have
you should go for it. Yeah.
We have one lesson.
Take my microphone.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah. We will be switching to Armenian sometimes when Bagrat needs it.
Երբ Նարեկը ֆեյլերի մասին խոսեց, ես մի հատ բան հիշեցի, որ պրոցեսի մեջ շատ կարևոր է կարողանալ ու սովորել ֆեյլերից մինիմալ հաջող ստանալ, այսինքն ոչ թե շատ հիասթափվել, այլ ասել դա ֆեյլ եղա, ուրեմն դա էլ է ինչ-որ փորձ ու այդ ինչքան ֆեյլերից հաջող կարողանաք ստանալ ու հենց ավելի ուժեղանաք, այդքան ավելի սուկսեսի շանսերը շատանում են։
Okay, anybody? So, next question, I guess we go for, some of you mentioned, if we talk about one-person team, then you need to combine some artistic skills as well, and even if you are an engineer, also you need to have that aesthetics taste, or combine your skills with some artistic things. How you grow that taste for engineers, when you are starting, from junior, for example, there's nothing written there, guys. This question isn't from audience. So how you grow that artistic thing in you when you are an engineer?
It comes from experience, I would say, because you play a lot of games, you have your own, you have games you like and you have games you don't like, you try to make your game like games you like, and first question you should ask is I would play the game I make, and if the answer is yes, then you reach the test you want, and you can I think you can be the I think you reach the level you have the test you want, I think.
I'm not sure.
You can skip it.
No, I like to talk. I'm French. French people like to talk all the time. No, I think one of the things is to be interested in other things than engineering, because when you're an engineer, you really focus on your stuff. You want to code stuff. You want to understand how it works, how a system works. You want to deconstruct it to systems. But if you look around you and you look at life and other people, you can see, maybe photography is something that interests you. Maybe writing stories is something that interests you. So when I kind of agree, when you play games and you know what you like and what you don't like, you can also ask yourself, why do I like this? And suddenly you start to open doors to other interests. How did they did that? How did they did that? How did they do that? Sorry. How did they do that? You like to talk, but sometimes you don't talk so much. Yeah, how did they do that? And you get to a different level of engineering. And I think you can shift your interest towards, as I said, other disciplines. Like, it doesn't have to be artistic, but it will be a creative thing. So. I think that's something. For instance, I'm not really good at art, but I like photography, for instance. And I can tell, like after maybe 3-4 years, it just changed a little bit my perspective on things. And when I look at pictures, or even I can comment now on digital art, and if I like it, or why do I like it, or why do I not like it? How they play with the light and stuff like that. So I think it's opening your mind and trying to get as much as you can inside of you.
Any more answers? Even not for me. So we have a question, which programming languages do you prefer to create games? Because, the question is general. Let me just redefine it a little, but you can answer this one as well. So the question will be how you go deciding about the engine you're going to use, or should you start from scratch to begin with? What is your vision on this? How you decide on stack, in a nutshell?
In my opinion, for small teams and beginners, it's better to use some existing engines like Unity or Unreal Engine. Doesn't matter. If you want to dig deeper, then you should customize existing ones or create a new one. But it's very hard and complicated, and it takes a lot of energy and time.
Is it worth it?
For me, yes, but I cannot recommend for all. It depends on situation and tasks, maybe.
I think if you're gonna do a complex, very hard game, I don't know, in terms of technical, for example, very hard 3D game with lots of stuff in it, you better choose Unreal Engine or Unity, because they are very, very optimized for that kind of stuff. If you are doing just a small indie game, maybe hyper-casual game, you can do it with any language. There are lots of frameworks, lots of tools that will help you to build your game. Even there is a challenge to write a game on Haskell. If you know, Haskell is it's a very strange language, a functional language. It is very hard to write a game on it. But you can do it with any language. It depends a little bit on what you are going to build.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think the question is not what is the most important language or which language you prefer. It's more, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? And usually, it's. accepted knowledge. Unity is more for beginners and really C++. So C++ is a bit more complex. You need to understand better. You can access more memory management stuff. But like if you look at how the AAAs are made today, they are made with custom engines for the reason Bagra explained. So yeah, if you're an engineer and your passion is to actually build engine, you would just start with C++ probably. But if you don't know C++, maybe you'll start with something else. So the real question is not really that. The real question is what are you trying to achieve and find the right language. And it's like anything which is touching or tapping on a language, like music, you have to understand, what instrument is good for you. It's pretty much the same thing for me.
Okay, we have an history here. Right here. We were supposed to have our here from Rockbite instead of Jeff, and he's not here, but he's watching us. Yeah, all the time. Okay, and coming back to discussion, and what about browser games? Sarkis, you said that you are developing browser games, and I have a question here: Are they alive?
Yeah. Yes, they are, but
End of question, right?
but not in the form we knew it. Now they are growing in another sphere. It is HTML5 games in existing applications like Messenger, WeChat, Snapchat. They are building cool games in that applications to engage more people and to connect more people together, to have fun and entertainment. In the form of browser games, yes, they exist, but in another form.
Anybody else has something to say here?
Yes, of course.
I really like to talk, so any opportunity. No, I take this opportunity to say that there is a fantastic game out there on PC and on Switch, which is called Dead Cells. Maybe some of you know it. Yeah, okay. So there is a fantastic making of on YouTube of this game. It's in French, but there are subtitles, so you'll see they also like to talk a lot. So pretty much I like. But in this documentary, they explain that they actually came from making browser games. And they had this passion for making browser games, and so the good thing about this is they were used to work together. And they were used, to build knowledge about, how to work together, how to communicate together. So again, it's not a question of language; it becomes a question of team and synergy of team and how good they hit it off together. And if you watch the documentary, you'll see that in the process of the making of, they really needed the help of some other guy who had nothing to do with the team because they were just excited to create assets and make games, but they didn't understand any kind of business. So anyway, yeah, I think browser games are alive. I wouldn't know because I won't play them, but yeah, I trust your judgment, so yeah.
Okay. Okay, and since we talked about Easter eggs a little, coming back to the previous one, do you ever leave Easter eggs in your games? Is it a thing?
What's the question, sir?
Do you leave any Easter eggs in the games, like something that gamers should just find out and yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Any examples?
I don't know. I've heard stories. I worked on Assassin's Creed. I think there was a love message embedded in a texture in the corner of I think it was Jerusalem in the city, the first one. And because there were like a couple in the team, and I think she was a texture artist and he was a programmer or something. And she left a message.
Long story.
Yeah. It's not really an Easter egg, it's just you will never go there or watch at the bottom of the wall on the texture.
So, at the end of the day, that's for developers, not for gamers, right?
Yeah, it's just, it was not, this one specifically was for someone specifically in the entire universe, obviously, but yeah, it's like, developers are human beings and, they like to share messages.
Anybody else?
Easter egg.
Aslında hiç Easter egg. Petit Easter egg,
Դե, ինչ-որ չափով։
Հատ այնց ինչ-որ մանրուքներ կային խաղի մեջ, տարբեր, օրինակ, ես չգիտեի, բայց հետո իմացա, որ մեր խաղի դիզայները Արսենը մի հատ կալասկայի օբյեկտ կար, սենց glossy mapping-ով, այսինքն glossiness mapping-ով էր, որ sense հազիվ է երևում փայլի տակ հատուկ իմ երեխու անունն էր գրել, որտեղ ինքը խաղի ստեղծվելու ընթացքում էր ծնվել, հենց հա, Ալեքսկայի վրա sense Ալեքսկա գրած, եթե sense բան անես։ Ինչ որ մարդիկ նկատել են, բայց քիչ էլի, ասինքն որտեղ ինքը հա, կաթվի վրա էլ Արի, չէ, հա, դա ձեր կաթվի անունն է, չէ, հա։ Դե հա, դե կոմիտասի նկար այդ իստորիկ չի, հենց հա, երևի այդքան է։
Our artist Boris has left a very cool historic about I mean for Armenians, like if you play the Deep Town you can say there's writings and you can guess what it is. Also we have cool historics on Star Wars. I think there are lots of historics in Deep Town. You can like try to play and find it, find them.
Marek?
Not about historics, but if you will allow, I would like to react to the previous question related to programming languages. So, why I'm returning this is that usually this question is asked. Usually this question is being asked by the people who are just starting to do game development and they want to make sure that they are choosing the correct technology. The problem is that usually the technology is not the key. Usually what you need to know is to learn how to make a game, not what are the tools to make a game, because there are lots of great games that have been created with a very, very weak technology. And there are lots of very bad games created with a very powerful technology. So just would recommend not to start on that. It doesn't matter, start with Unity, which is easy, and just learn how to make an interesting and enjoyable game. This is the most important thing that you need to devote your time.
Okay, by the way, talking about Vox camps, I don't know why you remember that. Do you need, just a quick question. Do you know, like, do you need a solid math background to be a good engineer, game engineer? How it is required?
I think yes, but not maybe strong, but you need to know a lot of math. There are lots of calculations, trigonometry, matrix multiplications, yeah, and of course a very basic algebra. I think you need to have a math background. It will really help, but of course, like there are lots of problems that are solved and ready to be used in engines, and often you can like maybe you can like use them and not to go deep into the math, but always there will be a problem where you need to optimize a thing. I mean, even calculating a square root is a problem in games, and there are lots of good examples how you can do it. To like the Doom example. So yes.
If you're all gonna say just yes, let's keep it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes.
Okay, any other opinions? Like somebody thinks that no? Okay, if it's yes, then it's yes. Okay, and Armenian, yeah, sure.
Ուղղակի տենց մարդիկան պալիգլոտ են, իմ մոտ հակառակն է, պրես 5 օր ինչ-որ լեզով չեմ խոսում, լրև մորանում եմ լեզում, կներեք։ Մատ բեգրաունդի պահով կարում սենց ասեմ, որ միշտ ուշ չի նորից սովորել, այսինքն որ ինստիտուտում ասենք ինչ-որ հետաքրքիր բաներ էին պահվում, ես չէի սովորում, լավ կներ եղավ սովորել, բայց ես ուղղակի չէի հասկանում, թե ինչքանով ինչը ինձ պետք կգա, բայց ավելի մեծ տարիքում իմ կարծիքով նույնիսկ ավելի հեշտ է սովորել, որովհետև բացում ես ասենք ինչ-որ Վիկիպեդիան, ինչ-որ կարդում ես ու ավելի նույնիսկ լավ ես ընկալում, քան այն բան, որովհետև կոնկրետ հասկանում ես, թե ինչ խնդիր ես ուզում լուծել։ Դա մեր ես կարծում եմ, որ մեր background-ը այդքան էական չի, միշտ կարելի է develop անել ընթացքում երևի։
So we have just some shaming here. We are not what you are calling us. Emma is one of our volunteers and she is translating. So, yeah. Thanks, Emma.
I can tell you she's not quiet. We'll say a few words maybe.
Hello, everybody. I'm just a volunteer here, and I'm an interpreter to Stefan. Yay!
But then there is a question, why is there no female game developer on the stage?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. Anybody has any opinions?
Yeah, okay,
Even you
okay,
all.
okay. I would say something. You said that there isn't any female engineer sitting here. Yes, and we are hiring now girls, and we want to hire a girl engineer, please. So if there is female engineer, please apply. And it's not sexism.
But I have hope here. Do we have girl developers in the audience? I know at least one.
Yeah, we have one.
Raise your hand, come on. 2, okay.
Please apply. 3.
No, don't.
4. 5.
A lot
Come on.
Okay, okay. Back to the discussion. You mentioned that polishing thing. How insane you can get there? I mean, are you polishing? No question there, it's from me. When you're polishing stuff, for example, visuals, graphics, how insane it can get. I mean, when you know it's nearly ready, how more polishing is there for your own satisfaction?
Polishing-ը մեր հիվանդությունն է, կարող եմ այլ կա։ Ասենք խաղը երևի կարելի է մի տարի շուտ ռիլիզ անել, եթե polishing չանենք, բայց չգիտեմ, երևի պետք էր։ Մեր տեղատեսվածում հատենց հիվանդություն կա, որ եթե ասենք deadline չկա կամ պատվիրատուն չկա, չասի գործուրա, երևի տենց անվերջ կանենք, էլի, ասենք մի 10-20 տարի, այն գործը որ մի ամսում կարելի անել, այդ խնդիրը կա։
How you survive? Just a quick question.
Ինչ-որ հանգամանքներ ստիպել են ստոպ անել, ինչ-որ մի պահից, Polishing-ի մասին մի հատ սենց լեգենդ կար, չգիտեմ ինչ-որ միտեղ կարող պատմել են, որ մարդիկ լսել են, այդ բանը, փոշու պատմությունը գիտեք, հա, շեդամացիկ է, հա, ուրեմն, ես որ գնացի տենց մի քանի անգամ հյուր Apple, ընդեղ տենց ասեցին, հա, մենք ձեր փոշու լեգենդը լսել ենք, ասեմ, ինչ փոշի, հա, ու բազա մի հատ սենց բան է եղել, խաղը պետք է ռիլիզ անենք, պայմանավորվել ենք, որ Apple ասեց, եթե այս date-ին ռիլիզ անեք, կարող է ինչ-որ feature-ing անենք, այսինքն իրենք երբեք խոսք չեն տալի, ու ես ասեցի, չէ, ես ընդեղ ինչ-որ մի հատ glossy reflection-ներ պիտի լավացնեմ, մեկ էլ ինչ-որ volume light բան անեմ, ավելացնեմ ու իմ գործընկեր Արայքը ինչ-որ Apple-ի մարդկանց մեկին ասեց, որ չէ, Բաղրատ ինչ-որ բան անում, հələ մի 3 ամսվա գործ կա, բայց մի 3 օրից պետք է հանձնենք, ասում ենք ոնց, ինչ եք անում, բան, ու ինչ-որ տենց ընդեղ փշացած հեռախոսին լսել էին, որ մենք փոշի ենք ավելացնում խաղի մեջ, բայց այդ volume light-ը երևի տենց վերջում փշացած հեռախոսը փոշի էր դարել, հա, ունդեղ ասել էին, բայց այդ փոշին չի երևում, ասում եմ հիմա օրինակ կա փոշի, ասում եմ հայզմի վերջից այս screenshot-ի մեջ կա փոշի, նախորդի մեջ չկա, հա, փոշին բայց չի երևում ու Արայիկը ասել էր, հա, փոշին չի երևում, բայց մենք ոչ իմ գիտենք, որ ինքը կա, հա, ու տենց կարևոր է, հա, ու տենց տրիադա մի հատ բան կար, որ եթե ինչ-որ մի հատ detail, վերջի 20 տարին, ոնց որ այդ իդեան մեր մոտ կար, որ ինչ-որ detail եթե չի երևում նույնիսկ իրան կարելի է զգալ։ Հա ու այդ տարածվել էր հետո, ասենք տենց տարբեր արտասահմանում ինչ-որ իրանց ծանոթների մեջ ամենտեղ, հա ու ինձ նույնիսկ տենց խոսակցություն եմ լսել, այ որ սկսեք ձեր խաղի մեջ փոշի ավելացնել, կարող է տենց վարկ ստանալ, բան։ Ուրիշ beginner-ներին տենց բաներ էին ասում, հա ոչ չէր հասկանում այդ ինչ փոշի է։
Yes, half in Bangladesh interview.
Go to Pigeonhole and ask your questions. Sorry. Anybody else? Answering the previous question. Something that was a joke you could ask.
No, it's okay.
Thanks to Emma, I understood what Byron said, and I kind of agree. I want to actually add to that. It's true that it can become an addiction, it can become an illness, but the dust that you see or the dirt that you see in your code or in your graphics or whatever is going to, at some point, be a problem. So you really, really need to fix it. I remember when we worked on Assassin's Creed, the first one, there was, actually it was kind of a failure. I mean, it was a success, but it was kind of a failure because the game was not as deep as we wanted, and when we started Assassin's Creed 2, we had to actually clean the dust. We had to clean the dust, especially on the AI thing, because I didn't do my job so well, I guess. And we had a lot of problems. We didn't prepare for the right amount of content, for the right amount of behaviors, because we didn't know what the consoles could actually output. So it was like shooting in the wild, and it was quite complex technological issues. So we took actually 6 months, and the headquarters of Ubisoft was pretty unhappy with us because we said, look, we really need 6 months to clean all that crap. And so we took that time because they were kind enough. We took that time to actually clean it, to actually build the right tools, to actually build the right tech. And on Assassin's Creed 2, it was much more content, it was much better, there were more behaviors, it was deeper, and it was more like what we had in mind in the first place. So
the best one.
Okay, cool.
With the best story.
With the best story, okay, cool. So the point is, but that's the thing, you cannot really tell these kind of stories if there is crap in your code. I know it sounds a bit weird, but it's the truth. You need to, it's kind of technological debt. You need to pay off that debt. And yeah, it requires time, energy, and money. So until, I agree with Bangrad, until you put crap into your code, which usually happens quite often and quite early, you don't know what this is, but yeah, it's a big problem and you really, really have to fix it.
Okay, an insane amount of polishing can sometimes bring to never releasing games or games that took just too long. Just combining this with the next question we have here. The question is, go for big. Do you want to spend a couple of years building a game and then release it to the public, or you should go for prototypes, small games? I mean, you see the question. You're free to interpret it. This is how I interpreted it.
You need advice when you're in that situation, because if you're addicted and you're on your own, you're never gonna release the game. You're gonna just be polishing it forever, and you're missing probably out on a big business opportunity potentially. So yeah, you need people to work with you and to tell you, no, that's enough, or at least some kind of manager to understand the business enough that says, this is the kind of output that I want. This is the kind of level that we need of quality. And until you reach that, you need some KPIs. You need to be able to measure the progress. You need to be able to measure that, this is good enough. And when it's good enough, you need to stop. And so it's actually a job. Like in big companies, they have closers. At the end of the production cycle, the closer comes in and replaces the producer, and it's just basically making sure that we converge and we release the game. On these big companies, they have fiscal years, it's super important, it's like, it's a big amount of money, big budget and everything, so it's very important to actually make sure that you finish on that date. And so the polish, you retro plan actually, and the polish usually is only 2 to 4 weeks, which is not enough most of the time. So that's why a lot of AAA, when they come out, are not so good, or not as good as they made you doing with the trailer without gameplay, and because they're selling stuff. So you can spend a lot of time. You have to be very vigilant that you don't, because you need the right amount of quality. You need to understand your target audience to make sure that this is the right level for your players. Where is the best point of cost versus effort and versus return on investment, basically.
So I totally agree with the last point. And in economics, there is a law of diminishing returns, and it means that at some point when you add more work, more people, at some point they don't pay off, and at some point they even decrease the quality, or you get late from the market. I mean, it might not decrease the quality, but it might harm the product. So definitely, while making a game, you need to understand your target. It's a prototype or it's a market game, for what market it is and what quality they are get used to and what you need to deliver. And you always need to keep track how meticulous you are, because if you like your job, it is okay to want to do it better, more polished, but it is always a trade-off, so you need to be attentive not to go too far with it.
Okay. And coming to the story part, how you pitch the story when it is decided to the team? I mean, for example, you decided to do an RPG game and the team doesn't agree that someone in the team, not all of them, they don't agree that they want RPG and they want some other kind of game. How you pitch the story to them, how you get them engaged?
You basically tell your idea and you expect responses, and you need to just consider the response. If nobody likes your game idea, then just keep it.
No, I mean, you just have someone that wanted, something like Asphalt to be created, and you've gone with another story. So what happened next?
So in our games we do in the following way. We just pitch different ideas. Team likes one of them the most, and we start to build that.
All of them, all the time?
No, not all of them. Which is the highest rated idea, we build it. Then again, when we finish it, we again pitch ideas, and again the highest rating.
Great. How others decide on which title they are going to work on?
I think sometimes it's better to create a small prototype and then show to the team, maybe, because sometimes idea in your head is not too detailed to understand, to
Go for me.
Switch to Armenia.
Okay. Իրականում այդեաները մի քիչ շատ sense բան են, abstract են ու այդեան դուք մի ձև եք տեսնում, ձեր թիմակիցները կարող է ձև տեսնեն։ Դեռ կարելի է ամենասկզբից մի հատ sense թեթև brainstorm անել, խոսալ դա ընդհանրապես տենց ուղղություն հետաքրքիր է, թմին թե չէ, հետո սարքել մի հատ ինչ-որ փոքր presentation կամ prototype, որովհետև տենց ավելի հեշտ կլինի ցույց տալ ու քննարկել եղածը։
You don't want to say anything? Actually, I will.
They're overusing your desire to speak, obviously.
I guess. I would be harder than everything that's been said here. Actually, it always happens. It's never clear, and it's actually, you're right. It starts from an idea. An idea is nothing. It's just a spark. And then you have to grow this idea into a vision, and the vision is a concept that is really badly understood in the industry. And so that's why I told you have to make prototypes, because your idea is just one side of the coin. And when you pitch something to someone, even to an investor or a publisher or your team members, they see a different product 100% of the time. They cannot see the same product. They see different colors, they see different interactions, they see different things. And this is the beauty of making video games. Actually, you have to converge into one product. So it's not so much that at the end of the day, you say, why don't we add RPG elements? Because that's going to be really, really difficult. You have to, pitch it as an RPG from the ground up. Or you could say, this is this idea, but maybe later we'll add RPG elements. But you have to understand why it would be a good idea to actually add RPG elements. You don't add RPG elements just because you like RPGs. Again, this is a business, so you need to find the alignment between what the players you are targeting want, what is the drive that you have inside of you to make this product, and what your team can actually build. So these little ideas transform into a vision, and it's like cooking, really. You have ingredients, and you put stuff at the right time, at the right moment, with the right fire, and then it bubbles, and then maybe it becomes something tasty or something disgusting, depending if you find this alignment or not. So yeah, the ideas are never enough, and it's really hard to come with a concept. But you have a concept, and it's actually kind of not expensive to validate it. You have 4 slides or 8 slides in a PowerPoint, a few sentences, a few graphics that you can borrow from other people, doesn't matter. You try to make something, you try to make a point of, this game is about this, and these are our reference, and this is what we want to do. And then suddenly, when you talk to publisher, they have questions, and you can, kind of have an idea of what the market is or what the market wants, and maybe it's a good idea to add RPG, maybe it's the worst idea in the planet. You don't know that. So the problems we have is, usually we make games and we feel, oh, I would like to have RPG elements, for instance, but it's not about you, because you're not the customer, you're not going to buy it, you're just making it, which is a different role. So you have to really understand who you're talking to, who is your audience, and what do they want.
Which brings us to the next question. Do you play your own games? For fun, not for joke. Not for testing reasons,
So I have 2 answers to that. So I worked on a Harry Potter game in 2002 and 2003. It's a bad game, basically, but I'm really happy I made it. I was very depressed after that. I stopped working for quite some time. I wanted to go back to France and work in a bank. That gives you an idea how depressed I was. So I actually absolutely hate Harry Potter. I cannot stand it. I don't know much about him, but I really hate it because it was too much work. So no, I didn't play that game. But then I worked on Assassin's Creed, and yeah, I played that game. So those games.
What about the games you consult on?
Say again?
What about the games you consult on?
So sometimes it's exciting. Sometimes it's exciting, but I wouldn't want to play that. But the idea and the concept is exciting. So this is what's interesting. So making games. So this is a really important point. I want to make it very clear. Making games and playing games are 2 different things. It's like, you want to go to the museum and watch beautiful art, or you want to create art. It's 2 different jobs. It's 2 different mindsets, 2 different skills, it's nothing to do with it. But the problem is that most of the schools that you hear about actually advertise it as the same thing, and you can see advertisement that says, come live your dream and play games or make games or whatever, and they are making a thin line between making games and playing games. So if I like to play games and I see that kind of advertisement, I'm thinking this is a school where I will learn to play games and not to make games. So making games is extremely different from playing games. So sometimes it happens that you can get excited with an idea, and just maybe the beginning of the idea and the growing into this vision thing, the concept. And I refer to these people usually as starters. They like to start projects. And there are other people who are more finishers. They actually don't really care about the content, they just want to finish it, create the assets, and get it into the box or on the marketplace. So, and some of the people are actually good starters and good finishers and good marathon runner, I guess.
Of course, we always play our games, I think. For me, it's not just like playing for fun. It's more of trying. I'm always trying to decompose the fun component from our game and see if it's good, if it's bad. Of course, it's hard, but you need to play your own game to see to decompose that fun part. Because if it's not fun, no one will play it.
So yes, we play our games a lot, but during the development, I never played the game from start, from beginning to the end. If it is in the store, I never downloaded and play it from scratch. Yeah, but I did play it a lot of time during the development, and I can't download it and play, and that's very hard to do.
But that was exactly my point. This is not the same thing. So one part of it is developing the game. So of course you have to play your game because you're developing it. You have to know where it's at. It's like cooking. You have to taste a little bit to see if it's good.
Yeah.
And the other part is downloading the game and playing it from start to finish, which is a different story because you're kind of a spectator and you have a professional eye, and when you play it, you're like, yeah, this is shit. Nobody sees it, but you're just like, oh my god, it's bad.
Sparta. իրականում Ստեփանն ճիշտ ասեց, որ տարբեր բաներ են, այսինքն develop-ը սանում խաղը թե խաղում ես իսկականից, որտեղ հա development-ի ընթացքում դու պարտավոր ես ասենք ամեն level-ը 1000 անգամ խաղաս, անկախ նրանից ձեր թվում տեստերներ կան թե չէ, որովհետև որ հասկանաս ինչ որ նյուանսներ, որը կարող պետքա փոխել։ Մենք եթե օրինակ սարքենք ինչ որ ավելի տենց ինչ որ multiplayer ասենք action խաղ, հաստատ շաբաթ օրը կարող է տենց չգիտեմ ինչ որ Quake Champions-ի կամ եսի ինչի տեղը այդ խաղային կամ հա բայց շեդամատը դժվար է ասենք տենց competitive խաղալ մի պահ երբ որ մեր մոտ դուրս եկավ այդ arcade մոդը հա ես ու Արսենը տենց ինչ որ Teamwork սկսեցին մի քիչ մրցակցել, դրա մեջ ինչ-որ հավես կար, որ քանի շոկ դու կհավաքես։ Հա, բայց մենք տենց ինչ-որ 80-100 այսքան ինչ-որ տենց թվեր էինք, չէ՞, հավաքում կարծես։ Հա, հետո մի հատ ինչ-որ չինացի հայտնվեց, որը տենց մի 3000 հավաքեց, ու հասկացանք, որ մենք չենք իմաստ։ Ինչ ինձ այն երկու վարկյան, հա, տենց պահ կար, որ պարզում է կարելի է ժամանակը անվերջավելացնել, որ այդ օբյեկտները դուրս գալուց, ասենք որ ժամանակը պրծնում է, ինչ-որ մի կես վարկյան խաղը քեզ ներում է, ու այդ չինացին ինչ-որ ձև էր գտել։ Հա, ու մենք հասկացանք, որ մենք մեր խաղը լավ չենք կարող, մենք խաղանք իմաստ չունի խաղը։
So, to elaborate what Barbara has said, so yeah, basically it depends on what kind of game it is. Our games are not very emergent games, so we play during development a lot, and then after that we had some games that I've still continued to play, but not very long, because the game can be more linear and game can be emergent. When I'm saying emergent, I mean that like chess, there are tons of combinations. Every single change creates a new combination, and you can play infinitely. Yeah, this kind of game, it is possible to play for years, but if it is more linear, more predictable for you, it is not interesting to play after you have made it.
Since we have just 5 minutes left, I want to close the session with this question. What are the games that you play now? What are your favorite games? What games inspire you?
Dota. I play Dota. I like it very much, and I like it so much that sometimes I'm scared, and I intentionally don't play it for some time because it is very addictive. But it's really a great game, like, no words, that's it.
Հիմա մի քիչ ավելի քիչ խաղում կանեմ վաղ։ Հա, մի պահ տենց համարը տենց կիսապրոֆեսիոնալ լեվելի StarCraft էի փորձում խաղալ, նույնիսկ տենց WCG-ի մասնակցում բան։ Հիմա ընկերներով շաբաթօրը մեկ-մեկ Quake Champions ենք խաղում, ուրիշ բան չեմ խաղում։ Անդը մի հատ կտա Հայաստան ծաղում Զովորայիրա ու իրան իստում է ոչ ոք չի կարա կրիկ, ու Հայաստան էլի, հա։ Հա, այդ ահավոր, ասենք, երեք հոգով չենք կարող մի հոգու ծեցենք խաղում մեջ, բայց մեկա չի խաղը ֆան է, դրա համար չենք ուսացածում խաղում ենք։
The game I play now is God of War. I hope we'll finish it soon. Yeah, and I don't like online massive multiplayer games. I never play any of them, and the game inspires me. Yes. There was the question, yeah.
This was my part, yeah.
Yeah, it is Rayman. I don't know who knows the game, but it's really interesting and fun and creative game. Yes, that the game inspires me.
I don't play much. Like I don't have really
time.
Really lots of time. I don't really have time. The last game was God of War. It was really beautiful and good. But for inspiration, I think I will say played it Inside. That game is, I don't know, it's a diamond for me. The way it is made, the way the game leads you through the levels. Yeah, and the story, of course, it's very abstract and tiny, and I don't know, it's really perfect for me. Like,
Yeah, it's good. I don't have time to play games anymore, but I watch a lot of it. So it's better than TV, obviously. No, I like strategy games, so I kind of like to play like Civilization and Stellaris or Crusader Kings, these kind of games, like complex Excel-based game kind of thing. But no, I touched on Sekiro. I think it's a really good game. But yeah, I don't have time to play that much anymore. Sadly, because I love to play games.
Okay, and since we have another 2 minutes, I want to go for this question. Being game developer through pirate?
No. No, absolutely not.
Anybody pirating?
If you mean downloading on torrent,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
As a developer, I think it's a
We have no FBI here who can be.
No. Yeah, I think it's a good. There are lots of developers. They are doing hard work and they need to be paid. I think. Yeah.
I used to, but nowadays I don't.
Since you started, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like them nowadays.
Asta ծափյան կստենց արել է։ Եթե չանեի ոչ game developer կդառնայի, ոչ ինչ-որ բան կսովորեի, դա փաստ է, ու նույնիսկ լիքը ծրագրեր, եթե առաջ տենց pirate չօգտագործվեին Հայաստանում, երևի մեր մասնագետների քանակը 10 անգամ քիչ էր, դա իրականությունն է։ Խաղը սարքելու ընթացքում, այսինքն մեր առաջի խաղը սարքելու ընթացքում ու ռիլիզինգ ընթացքից հետո, երևի ոչ թե երևի 100% ոչ մի բան pirate չեմ արել, որտեղ արդեն մի քիչ ուրիշ զգացմունք էր, այնտենց պատասխանությամբ, հետո մարդիկ կային, որոնց խաղերից դուր են գալի, իրանք էլ ասենք ինչ-որ Twitter-ում շերոմացքի մասին լավ բան են գրել, ստացվի հա, իրանք իմ խաղը առել են, ես իրանցը չէ, հա, ու տենց մի տեսակ փոխվեց վերաբերմունքը, ու էլ չեմ անում երբեք։
Չեն կալան։
Որտեղ կլուբ անանիմի կալկալի։
Երեք օրա չի անում։
Զղջում եմ, բայց պետք չի։
The same with me. Yeah, I've done that, but recently I don't remember something like that. So probably no.
Nice strategy, I don't remember. Okay, that's all, folks. We are done. Thank you for coming, and of course, thank you for joining us.